Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745, and we're playing Hearts of Iron 3, and we're playing as the U.S.A. with Black Ice Mod, as you probably know if you've been watching the series, and it is February 41, and we are starting to produce some infantry divisions. Most of these are non-transport divisions. I'm just going to stick them on places like Wake and Midway and whatnot to be able to supply them there. Okay. We're going to drift towards the Allies. Military police, good. We'll just oh, that's what we were waiting for. Stick pressure holes. Okay, good. There we go. That. Well, we'll still leave the AA, but we'll go with that. Get those set up to the top. Cruiser armament. Okay. Still going on? No, I guess not. Be here. We're going to stop most of this. I mean, this is sort of the end because I'm not going to be. Well, I'm going to maybe produce some more as time goes on, but I don't think I'm going to be updating carrier cruisers and battleships and carriers much beyond this for the main tech. Smaller techs or side techs or whatever you want to call them, things like radar and whatnot. Yeah, they'll get updated. Okay. Now that we're in 41, air landing, jungle warfare equipment. That sounds cool. Yeah, if you are interested in Facebook, Arno's been doing a great job with Facebook, but I really don't get on there a whole lot. He's posting stuff, and you guys, of course, post on Facebook too if you're interested. So please do check those out if you're into Facebook. I should do more, and I am streaming there live on one of the channels, one of the pages there. So I don't know that there's anybody watching other than Arno on Facebook, but if you prefer that, I'm there as well. Light cruiser armament advance. So yes. Okay, and that is right out. Okay, we've got a lot of these. Training of crews. Let's do battleships. Right out. Carrier armor thickness. Okay. Just continue to. We're getting ready for a naval war. There's a lot of these that still need to be done. Just so used to playing as Germany. Naval being a secondary. I'm really not used to researching carrier techs. That's good. And larger search radar. These probably. Nah. Bombers, we don't need surface detection. They're just going to be for bombarding cities. Strategical bombardment. Another thing I'm not used to doing. Yeah, radar training would be great. Now, how is the war in Europe going? Okay, the Italians. Oh, and the Germans. With the Italians coming, took the Italians to come into the war for the Germans in this playthrough to break out. Okay. Carrier rudder and whole organization. Okay, a lot of carrier stuff. Okay, I guess it's all grayed out, so I don't need to worry about it. Continuing on, an armored car does. Stop that for the moment. Again, let's get over to some of these. Yeah, cruiser crew training would be nice. And carrier crew. Targeting. They all would be. I'm just trying to focus in on what's to do first. Yeah, I would highly recommend. This is my favorite grand strategy global World War II game. Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice, not just standard Hearts of Iron 3. You need all the main DLCs, the sort of the collection, or if you have For the Motherland, Their Finest Hour, and Semper Fi, you get those 3 DLCs in the base game, and then play the Black Ice mod. And if you want to play Germany, get my mod Third Reich Events. You can find the link on the Black Ice mod. This is, for all of its flaws, and there's flaws, for all of its flaws, it is still the best, in my opinion, the best historically based grand strategy World War II game. It's at a divisional scale. Obviously, there are units smaller than that. It's better. Well, I don't know, better than Crusader Kings. It's Crusader Kings is pretty good, but yeah, it's pretty good. I highly recommend it. Okay, we're not going to. We're going to postpone. 6 months go away. Hello. Impact Easy. How you doing? Did you recommend? Yes, there are a few things I would recommend. And I have to do this. There is a beta version. I sort of cleaned it up. I should release my Third Reich events for 11.1. That's what I would recommend is best. 11.2, I haven't quite updated Third Reich events for. Some of the things I don't like in it, but yeah, they're both good. It's got more stable. Without any of the sub mods, this is more stable than just pure 11.2 is more stable than 10.33. They've got things more stable. So but it's just equally stable 11.1. 11.1 or 11.2 are the things I would recommend. And if you're going to use Third Reich events, find you just look at you have to go back a page or 2 or 3 to find the beta version. There is a better version that I haven't released. I got sort of upset with things because they made changes, and there's a lot of work that I have to do their changes made me do a lot more work if I have to, like 10 times the work, and I just haven't had the will to go in and do it. So yeah, little details that should be there. Yes, well, it's from the same company, different team that actually does this. So, and you can get, and there's some sale. I don't know if there's any sales going on right now for Paradox, but this stuff has been on sale. The base game and the 3 DLCs. You don't need the sprites, because the sprites, this uses counters. If you have the sprites, they actually unload the sprites. So you don't need all the sprite flavored DLCs, and you don't need Gata Damarang or some of the other DLCs. You just need the 3 main DLCs, and that's it in the base game. And you get the Black Ice. So I would recommend if you're going to play Germany, get mine the other sub mods and play 11.1. I know it takes a bit of digging, but this is a in-depth game, and if you're not willing to dig a little bit to figure out what versions, and ask around on the forum. It's not that you have to do it all yourself. Just ask around on the forum, and people will point you in the right thing. It's worth it. But if you need a casual game, go play Hearts of Iron 4. If you want a game that you want to get in and dig into it, this is it. But it takes it even a bit on installing it. So. You need to look at that. So yeah, and so even if you have an older machine, running 11.1 or 11.2 is going to be more stable than 10.33. So it's doing good. Now, once you put in all of the DLCs, mine, revolver helds, it starts becoming unstable. Not unplayable, unstable, but it's going to crash once in a while. And you got to be able to put up, do some auto saves and be able to put up with it crashing once in a while and having to go back and replay things. If you just want it stable, stay away from the DLCs. Mine seems to be okay when I've just put mine in on top of it. Not that it doesn't become less stable, but it seems reasonably stable. Once I get revolver helds and the D-worms in there, and I think it's, I don't know which one for sure, but I think it's revolver helds, I'll say it, makes it a lot more unstable. It's more and more unstable. So, look around, ask around, figure it out. Okay, establishment of the Coast Guard Auxiliary President. It might be time prudent to tap into our large civilian maritime resources for auxiliaries or naval. Historically, the United States Coast Guard is uniform volunteer component to the Coast Guard. Congress established. Okay, yeah, okay. See, we keep spending a lot of this money. Okay, yeah, sure, we'll go for that. Now, what does that give us a bunch of things into production? No. These are whole shape, blah, blah. Okay, users. Do that. Small warship fire control computer advanced. Probably either grayed out or we need to get grayed out. And German blue. Finally, we start researching Battlefleet concentration. We were researching, weren't we? Or, I don't know. And then we steal a bunch. Okay, we weren't yet, so we jumped up to 41 on that. Okay, destroyer escort. Yeah, we could do that. Spotting. We want to be able to spot the enemy. It is sometimes hard for them to. An underway replenishment. Oh, we want to get that done. We would give them money for supplies. Maybe they want money. Okay, we'll help the Dutch in exile. Okay, bulkhead layout. Just cancel that. We've got enough. Okay, we become a regional naval power. Oh, well, probably what I should do is. Okay, here they are. These are the, okay, so these are transports, motor torpedo boats, which historically, well, I don't know. Chow down, deep sea. Yeah, these are, I don't know, these may be just sort of civilian conversion type things, or what they represent. Probably. They did a bunch of those. That were okay-ish conversions that they just sort of patrol the coast, not really good enough to send them out into the proper war zone. They're out running around looking for submarines. All I got to do is radio back in. I see a sub, and all kinds of anti-submarine assets would come after that sub. All right, so yeah, light cruiser training. Yeah, we can do. Yes, you can have energy, Belgium. I know you're in exile, but vertical protection here. Cancel that. I know we may need some of it eventually, but I want to get some of these doctrines and bringing up and going to a more modern. Okay, rare material or rare minerals. Well, you know, we need to do supply organization as well. And we can also, well, we may do that, but we may have other higher priorities. Carrier torpedo protection, and we need to stop that. Yes, we already did. Bulkhead layout. Okay. First class carriers. Oh, that's maybe what I was waiting for. I know I've already got a bunch in production. Yeah, fleet. Okay. Yeah. We want to. This will be the last main. These are all the ones you have to do before to get to that, but now we've got that. We'll do one more of that, and then that'll be enough for this playthrough, I think. We don't need to be making. I hope we won't be needing to put starting production of carriers in 43 for getting ready in 45 or whatever. Okay. Invasion speed. Yeah, eventually, but do we have? Yeah. I want to do. Okay. Italy, it's our time. The fall of France. Uh-oh. Vichy France. Okay, so Vichy France has happened. Still, these are British units. Presumably, they might get to evacuate those, but maybe not. Yeah, another submarine. New Zealand's been at least asking to produce a lot of submarines. I presume they're in the queue there. Yeah, I want to leave. Oh, destroyers for bases. Okay, on September 2nd, 1940, the government of the United States and the United Kingdom reached an agreement for the transfer of 50, this is probably triggered after the fall of France, for 50 destroyers of the 1200 type from the U.S. Navy to the Royal Navy in return for the American basing rights for 99 years in the Caribbean, Guyana, Newfoundland, Bermuda, and elsewhere, including Diego Garcia. Yeah. Where we have a very, very small island that we have. We can base all kinds of things out and fly them all the way from down here. We literally take off things like B-52s and whatnot and fly them up here to bomb in Afghanistan. Or we were actively doing that. Okay. Yeah, a lot of these I think have been waiting for the fall of France. Lend-Lease agreements were arrangements for the transfer of war supplies, including food, machinery, and services, to nations whose defense was considered vital to the defense of the United States in World War II. The Lend-Lease Act passed in 1941, but the U.S. Congress gave the President power to sell, transfer, lend, or lease such war materials. The President was directed to set the terms for aid repayment to be in kind or property or any other direct or indirect benefit which the President deemed satisfactory. Harry L. Hopkins was appointed in March 1941 to administer the Lend-Lease. He was replaced in July by Edward Stettins Jr., who headed the Office of Lend-Lease Administration, set up in October 41. In September 43, Lend-Lease was incorporated into the Foreign Economic Administration under Leo Crowley in September 45. It was transferred to the State Department. Lend-Lease was originally intended for China and countries of the British Empire in November 41. So yeah, this is the statement before that I was saying in the previous episode. They would not have included Russia until the German invasion. The idea of helping them at all. By the end of the war, practically all the allies of the United States have been declared eligible for Lend-Lease aid, although not all requested it or received it. Lend-Lease agreements were signed with numerous countries, so we have Lend-Lease going. Wow, it took until February for the fall of France. Yes. Yes, well, for quite a while, as Arno was saying, it looked like the First World War and that Germany was sort of stuck here. It wasn't until the Italians got in the war. This time, Italy getting into the war actually really helped. Because when Italy does get into the war, historically, it's basically at the time that the Germans are moving into Paris. And basically on that same day, Franco occupies Tangiers. It had been sort of an independent city-state set up by the League of Nations or whatever was administering it. But basically the day Germany is marching into Paris, Franco occupies Tangiers. And so it's when the world's attention is everywhere else. But Mussolini jumps into the war when he thinks it's over and doesn't really help out much. But this time, they really did help out. Not worth it. Maybe someday I'll want to do that. But not yet. Okay. Japan demands French Indochina. See this. Now, of course, this happens. I'm not sure exactly the date, but I'm pretty sure in 1940, after the fall of France. So this is where, Japan is, obviously Japan's going wrong by invading China. That's a big, big mistake. We know that. Even though this is a peaceful occupation, some of the French military garrisons are withdrawn, I believe. Most of them stay. I think they're allowed to keep their small arms, but basically they just stay in the barracks for the rest of the war. They're not treated as prisoners of war, to the best of my knowledge. And there are some photos. I collect photos, just online digital photos, but of French soldiers with Japanese equipment, collecting Japanese equipment from Japanese forces surrendered. Basically, unlike where the Americans are put in god awful prisoner of war camps in the Philippines, and some other are brought up to Japan and put in god awful prisoner of war camps in Japan, and other places in the British are in god awful. If you've ever seen Bridge on the River Kwai, it's more of a movie than real, but they're put in horrid conditions. The French just basically stay in their barracks. Now, yeah, they can leave their barracks in civilian clothes and go out into the markets or whatever, but they're not allowed to go out as a military occupation force or a policing force or anything like that. But they're allowed to continue to exist through the rest of the war, and the French that are there, and then they immediately retake over the administration of Indochina, and you get the whole Indochina War eventually, obviously. But yeah. But this is where they really start going wrong, in that up until this point, it's a war between China and Japan. And certainly the Western allies are favoring China for various reasons, not just humanitarian or want to pick the sides. There's other interests too. But it's sort of contained as that way. But once you come down and take this, you're really starting to give a signal to the rest of the world that Japan is becoming power hungry, because there's nothing they really need in here Oh, okay. This says there's maybe some oil here. Nah, it's probably not that much. I mean, really, I don't think there's that much oil. You know, there and not. You know, okay. You know, there's some rare materials. Probably not metals. It's probably, you know, rubber or something. I don't know. Yeah, they may be getting a little bit of metal and a little bit of stuff. But this isn't a real strategic need here. The only thing that really benefits them is stopping French. Up until this point, France has been allowing landing of military supplies in, you know, Hanoi up here, and or Haiphong Harbor or whatever, but and transferred into the nationalists. That's about all it does, and they could have probably shut that pipeline down without an occupation. So it's Japan is becoming power hungry. Okay, Germany is France has fallen. Germany High Command began planning for Operation Sea Lion. Okay. Aim of defeat. Okay. Efficiency gone down and transport engines have advanced. Right. Hey, Kyle. Yeah. Well, Thailand is. God, I don't know the details, but for Thailand becomes, for a while, is briefly, I would say, a sort of puppet state unoccupied by Japan. In sort of this phase, you know, when the the Japanese get Indochina and Siam, Thailand, whatever you want to call it, you know, is anti-European colonization because it's looked around and seen all of its neighbors taken over, and of course it doesn't want to. So it's sort of, I think, they sort of see Japan as sort of Japan is trying to sell, and if you look at some of their propaganda very much, they're trying to sell themselves as you know, liberating Asia from European occupation, you know, the Japanese co-prosperity sphere. Of course, everybody who gets occupied quickly ends up realizing that it isn't co-prosperity, it is Japan's prosperity, and all you've done is they've liberated you from European occupation to become Japanese occupation, and that might be, depending on the case, even worse than European occupation for the country and the peoples there. So once you get into, you know, Japan comes into Burma and Malaya, I do believe basically Thailand is occupied as well. Though there I do, I've collected a little bit of information, but not a great deal on what Thailand's doing. So yeah, it's an interesting little. Well, pause. Okay, you give them money for supplies. No, we don't. I don't need supplies. I'm only buying from others just because I'm hoping to help them out because they're at war. And we would get money. Bulgaria. No, we're not trading that with Bulgaria. We might with somebody else. Yeah, Japan could definitely use some rubber. And once it's cut off from British and Dutch rubber sources, is not good. I mean, the main deficit, of course, is oil. Oil. Everything else is secondary to oil. But yeah, some rubber and some of the quinine and other things, yeah, it would be helpful, but not as critical as oil. Okay, expand our minds. Okay, so building good. Is there something I need to? Oh, yes. Okay. I think we're gonna have to deploy these, but ooh, we're gonna get a lot of steel, coal, and whatnot. That's good. Order placed. Who with? Okay, United Kingdom. Yes, we'd love to help you with some aircraft. Okay. U.S. early mobilization. The U.S. mobilization pace picked up on the wake of German military success in the spring of 1940. These are probably happening because they probably were triggered after the Vichy French event, if you're just wondering why we're seeing these now. Um, in the spring of 1940, this phase, usually called the defense period, represents a transitional stage similar to the one envisioned by the abandoned industrial mobilization plan. In May 1940, Roosevelt called for 50,000 new aircraft and supplemental defense appropriation. He also set up an Office of Emergency Management in his executive office to coordinate the effort. He revived the Advisory Commission on National Defense to assist problems of mobilization resource and to prepare comprehensive plans for various stages of mobilization. But the commission itself did not last the year, and its successor, the Office of Production and Management, was also soon abolished. The political climate was still not receptive for full-scale industrial mobilization. Raise the army budget, don't. Okay, so gain some manpower, lose a little bit of money, gain 5 in dissent, gains popularity, and loses organization. Democratic Party, that's who we're playing as. Gains neutrality, loses dissent. Well, we don't have any dissent, so we can afford some dissent. And gains organ. No, we're going to go with raise the army budgets here. Okay. Good, we're getting these done. It looks like we'll get through all of the fortifications before the war will break out. And hopefully we'll get these divisions out into the Pacific in time. Because I am fully prepared to I will, if I think it is useful, I will and probably just anyways try to shift some ground forces to Britain, just to make sure that the Germans aren't doing some sort of invasion thing successfully. But we're definitely looking at going after that. Okay. Steel refineries, coalfield, rares, extraction. Okay, need to go over to this map. Base 6. Okay, well, what we want to do here is this. Here, I think, yeah, we are maxed out, so trying to find a good base. Well, I guess 6. Well, we can do a steel refinery there. Okay. Here, yes, 30. So let's do let's do 2 there. Cleveland, no steel there. You need to put them on a province, and the bigger the base is, the better. It's a modifier of that province of the, well, there's a good one. The base amount. So 1 is not where you should choose to place them if you can. Just look forward and do it better. Placement. Full, it looks like. Okay, 6. There we go. Okay, coal fields. Well, we were short, I mean, not that much steel. Okay, but we got a lot of coal. So, Buffalo. Lots of coal, 10 there. So let's drop 1 in Buffalo. Yeah, you can play more carefully than this and probably find a better places to do some of these. But I want to sort of keep things moving somewhat. Okay, 5, but let's drop 1 here, 1 here. Okay, for rare materials now. 3. Well, being rare, that isn't. Ooh, 7, okay. The other one. Oh, oh, 10. I'm gonna put 2 here. Hmm. It's not bad for rare materials, but yeah, we'll drop 1 here. Ooh, 10, we should put a couple here. Okay, well that's good. Good enough. You guys can, playing yourself, you can do a better job than that, I'm sure. Okay, so we just got 900 money. Yeah, capital ship vehicle protection. We're just, okay, that's already ended. Read out probably. What are the Swedes ones? Rare, we give them rare materials, certainly. No, we don't need supplies, torpedo protection. Gee, ammunition for cruisers. Look at that. Oh no, 40. Yeah, autoloader. Okay, yeah, we can let that go. Bulgaria is mobilizing. Okay, export of Bulgaria. No, we're not. We're not helping Bulgaria. The Enterprise. There. All right. So what we're going to do here is, oh no, I want to. We're going to make sure it gets onto the Enterprise. Um, no, can I just pick it? No, no. Okay. Okay. They chose raid as their choice of action, and we'll go take a look at that. Where did make it here? Okay, there it is. Okay, Enterprise, good. So you made it to the right place. Go back to there. Pause. I need to slow this down a bit here. There we go. Now we're all sort of set up. Very good. Yes, you can have energy radar for cruisers as advanced. Nice. And also destroyers, I see. Okay, so cruisers, destroyers, single engine fighter prototypes. Very good. We'll come back to all this air stuff in a while. We've got most of the naval stuff ticking over. Looking fairly good. Not going to do jets just yet. I'd rather do these first, but okay. Yeah, engineering training, that would be good. Do you think the AI Axis will put up a good fight? I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, I've played as Britain, but Britain is not strong enough to do invasions of mainland Europe on its own. I was able to, fight out here successfully, and you can look at my British playthrough, and I was actually able to hold down in here in Thailand for basically the whole war. So I was able to hold there and keep the Japanese out on my British playthrough. So it was mostly that. Now, once the Americans had done the D-Day, oh, here's the raid, I guess we see here and here. Oh, they're up here too. Okay, so there's a bunch of raids going on. We'll see how that works out. Okay, crush the one down there. Once the scripted D-Day event, okay, they're shutting these raids down pretty fast. Happened, I was able to, as Britain, come in and land forces and help out significantly, but just not do it on my own, and not able to like invade into Italy on my own as Britain. We'll see how it goes with the U.S. Australia, yes, we'll do the Australia trade. Okay, so we have, okay, that reduces, right, okay, so we've lost regional land power and just become a land power. Okay. And special forces branch upgrade. Grayed out. Now that we have 16 plus, we're going to invest in the scientific community. we'll give you energy use. Okay, now that gives us a bunch more research capabilities. Just been waiting to store up enough money to do that effectively. Here, there we go. I mean, I want a challenge. I want the AI to play reasonably smartly. The invasion, or the time it took for the Germans to successfully invade France worries me, though. I was even sort of worrying, am I going to end up in war and France was still alive and kicking and I just send over reinforcements? Not that that's a terrible thing, but doesn't seem to be the thing that gives me a lot of challenge. Yeah, we got a lot of cruisers, so we'll continue that. The industrial zone has advanced. Great. 42, we're going to let that continue, and we'll do agriculture next. Manpower and more production efficiency. All right. Oh, yes. Baldwin Locomotive Company. During World War II, Baldwin's contributions to the war effort included not only locomotives and switches, but also tanks. Baldwin was one of the manufacturers of several variants of the M3 tank, Lee, various versions, and later M4 Sherman. Now, if I remember correctly, there were 4 locomotive factories that were converted to tank factories. Some of the early ones were using a lot of their riveting technology and their steel rolling technology to create the armor plates and rivet them together. But they also got to where they were dealing with welding the tanks together. And these warehouses were equipped with big heavy crane sort of inside, that not crane, not like a crane that you has tracks and a big arm that you lift up, just sort of a thing in the attached to the roof, attached to the building, that you would pick up and then move along, attached to the roof and set down. And they were able to move locomotives around like that within the factory, move them through the air. And so that was a perfect place to set up tank assembly. Depending on them, I probably set up to do wheels and other things, probably importing engines. I'm almost sure of it. Importing engines from other factories to the tanks, and of course importing guns from gun factories. Big guns, 75 millimeter type guns and 37 millimeter guns, as well as machine guns. And it's putting together the steel plates or whatever, and assembling the tanks around and be able to move them around on the crane systems. And I think there were four locomotive factories in the U.S. that they switched over to tank production. Well, they were also ramping up other tank production factories. I think it was Baldwin was the only one that didn't go back to producing locomotives and continue to produce tanks throughout the war, because they did it so efficiently. The rest, they were sort of like, well, yeah, good, thanks for the few thousand tanks or whatever they produced. But we want more locomotives now, so go back to making those. It was Baldwin, I think it was Baldwin, that continued through to basically the end of the war, primarily producing tanks for the American industry. So more tank factories, very good. Now we're back to that medium popularity. Thought we would be sooner or later. Okay, I'll pause. Well, maybe it's American. I don't know. I think it was Baldwin. Okay, well, yeah. Thanks for design. Produce examples of the answer. Alco. Here develop produced howitzers. Also involved in production. Yes. So yeah, more tank factories. Thought it was Baldwin that continued through the whole. Now we're having to pay our industry. Yeah. Don't like this. That's why I get rid of it, but TRE for this stuff. Okay. You don't have that. I disable it with TRE. You can go in and re-enable it if you want, but it's not that hard, but I don't like it. Don't think it's correct. Armor unit. I think we're gonna. I want to thank everyone so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Hope to see you next time. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It'll be red if you haven't. Thanks so much. See you next time for more. Yes, more Arts of